Boom. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I am joined by two amazing people in the gaming industry, both of them hailing from Brazil. I'm thrilled to have with me prolific artist Carlos Castillo and returning guest and award winning game designer Diogo Nogueira. Diogo has also graciously agreed to translate for Carlos and I so that we could make this interview happen. Welcome, Carlos, and welcome back, Diogo.
Hey, hi everyone. I am Diogo, and well, he just said I'm a game designer from Brazil and whatever. And então o Carlos vai se apresentar. Ele só falou daqui da gente que eu vou fazer essa parte de tradução e tal, e passou a palavra para a gente. Dá um oi para a galera.
Então, oi, tudo bom? É um prazer estar aqui. Muito obrigado pelo convite, David. Muito bom estar aqui com o Diogo também. Eu sou o Carlos Castilho, eu ilustro para RPG há cerca de 4 anos e tem sido muito divertido tudo isso.
Carlos Castilho said it's a pleasure to be here, and he's thanking Dave for the invitation, and that he has been working with illustrations in the RPG market for about 4 years, and has been really fun, and he has having learning and doing this stuff. It's really a pleasure for him, and it's happy to be here.
Nice. I'm glad to have you on. So Carlos, can you tell folks how, if at all, being from Brazil influences your work?
Essa é a primeira pergunta, você já sabe lá, né?
Tá. Da onde eu sou e como que isso me influencia, né?
Yeah.
Bom,
sim.
Bom, eu sou brasileiro, eu sou do sul do Brasil, do Rio Grande do Sul, e eu tô dizendo isso porque isso me influencia, já que eu me criei em uma chácara, pelo menos até os 12 anos de idade, e isso trouxe muito contato com a natureza, com o mato, com o campo, essa coisa de lendas locais, o medo do escuro, o cachorro uivando na madrugada, o medo de ir no galpão fazer alguma coisa. Eu sinto de verdade que isso influencia bastante no meu trabalho.
He said he's from Brazil like me, and he's from the south of Brazil, and probably from more the interior away, like from the capitals and big cities. So he said he used to live in like a small farm, which is like we call it a chácara here, and he had like this contact with nature, fields, and all the legends and folklore, and being afraid of going out in the dark, because like in small cities when the dark is really dark, don't have lights like in like big cities, and afraid of the dog in the nights, or going alone to the warehouse and things like that. And he believes this kind of like mythology of the small city and on the interior of the away from the capitals has influenced his work.
Nice. So, Carlos, who are some of your biggest artistic influences from both Brazil and around the world?
Influência, né? A segunda pergunta.
Os artistas, né? Então, como eu comecei a desenhar, assim, sempre desenhei, claro, mas eu comecei a me dedicar de forma mais recorrente mesmo, por conta do RPG, as minhas influências tendem a ir muito para esse lado. Então, aqui no Brasil, tem dois que eu não posso deixar de citar que não são de RPG, que é o Mozart Couto e o José Luiz Benício. Não sei se o Diogo conhece. O Mozart Couto você deve conhecer, né? O Mozart Couto é Mozart Couto, é um ilustrador bem de fantasia clássica, e o outro é o José Luiz Benício. É tipo um fraseta brasileiro.
Benício. Fazia post de cinema, post dos Trapalhões.
Isso, esse
Pô, eu
mesmo,
tomei
né?
cerveja
Faz
com ele
um
no
ano
bar
que
e
ele morreu,
caraca,
mas...
cara.
Ah, que massa! Nossa, faz um ano, acho que ele morreu, né? Mais ou menos um ano.
Uhum.
E daí, quando a gente fala do mundo mesmo, né? Aí são Gary Schalk, Peter Mullen, Stephen Pogue, Russ Nicholson, os irmãos Hildebrand, e tem um cara que daí já é mais atual, que é o Matt Sticker. Tem ele no Instagram, ele já é um cara, eu já vi ele fazendo alguns trabalhos para DCC. Esse cara é uma influência muito grande para mim mesmo, assim, é difícil ir fazer antes de eu começar um trabalho, eu não dar uma olhada no perfil dele para ver como que ele resolve as coisas, né? Como que ele resolve essa perspectiva ou essa profundidade e tal. Cara, é muito bom.
Beleza. Well, he said he always drew, but he didn't take this serious, more disciplined, focused approach like to improve his craft until he started playing with RPGs and wanting to work with RPGs. So mostly his influences come from RPG artists because of this. But there's two artists that influenced him outside of RPG, which are Mozart Koto. I don't know if I have to type that on the chat here. And Luis Benicio, which is like a famous illustrator here from Brazil that used to do like cinema movie posters in the 80s with all these oil paintings, and he was really good, really like worked for publicity and made it, even those like this kind of those pulpy fantasy covers you have in the United States, but we didn't have this culture of pulp fantasy literature here in Brazil. But the kind of art we had in like these movies, movie posters, and artists like Benicio. And there is also RPG illustrators such as Gary Chalk, Peter Mullen, Stephen Pogue, Russ Nicholson, and the Hildebrand brothers, and Matt Sticker. Really, basically, DCC illustrators, I think, right? Basicamente, ilustradores de DCC, né, cara?
É verdade.
Nice.
Yeah, DCC
Foi
art
a minha
is really, really inspiring, and that book is like a basically art book, because there isn't one page you don't have like a piece of art here or there, and the art is really, really inspiring of all these visions from different people, right? Tô falando de que o livro DCC é muito maneiro, que parece um livro de arte, né, cara? Cada página tem uma parada e cada artista traz uma visão muito particular da coisa, muito legal.
Isso.
Those are some good influences to have, though.
Yeah.
So Diogo, the next question is for you. I've seen you recently have released some business card games. What can you tell listeners about those?
Okay, well, by the mid of the year, I started having like anxiety crisis, because I suffer from anxiety, and because I think I started getting a lot of work because of the award I won last year, and because of that I was doing a lot of work for other like publishers and creators for other projects, and not working on my own stuff. So I kind of started feeling anxious, and I thought about a way to get something done for myself, something like personal project, to get me out of this funk that I was thinking about. I wasn't doing anything because my own projects weren't moving. I started working on business card games. I wanted to make it like a small project I could get done quickly, and would like work on my creative juices to find solutions in like a small, compact way. So like I created a bunch of them, and I only published a few, but I have like a bunch of them written already because they were so not easy, but they're so exciting to do, like to find solution to make something interesting in such a small format. I made 4 philosophy-inspired games because of my anxiety. I'm really into stoicism, and that helped me how to deal with my negative thoughts and things like that. And these games are basically stoic exercises to do with anxiety or self-doubt, or even help you meditate to, I don't know, be more present, you know. And they were released as RT cards or RT games, because RT means being your best self or something like trying to be your best self. And I made other games too. But those aren't really published yet. The people can see like the previews I post, because I like to post the process of my work, because creating is a process, right? It's not like pushing a button and something magic happens.
Yeah, it's certainly a
So-
process.
So I posted like there is like this car combat game. So you know, Car Wars or like Armageddon and this kind of game. Like you have a card and you race other racers and you fire them and you crash their car. So it's a card combat game, all in a business card. So you have all the rules you need on one side. On the other side, you have your car with the points you spend on either engine or weapons or armor. And everyone can get a business card and just play anywhere, on the floor, on the kitchen table. Or I dream about this. I dream about having like a bunch of these cards and just handing them on Gen Con. And on the halls, I see people just battling each other with these cards, you know. But I haven't printed them yet. So I have made another one that's like similar to that, but it's a skirmish game, miniature game, business cards. So on one side you have all the rules, and the other side you have your units, character sheets, and you can fold them like this, you know, and they will stand and you like battle with miniatures too. So that can be fun. You can fight one-on-one, or you can find like teams. You could play like 5 teams in like a big apartment and start moving them, and I don't know, that could be fun.
Yeah, these sound really fun. And
there's other ones that I haven't completely designed them, but like survival ones, like a space like alien invading, and you have to survive. Like you're going to die, but you have to see how long you can survive the alien invasion, inspired by StarCraft.
nice.
So yeah, it's a fun exercise. It's really a creative exercise to try to create a whole game in a business card, especially a game that each time you play will be different. And these games I made, like the card wars and the armies ones that play with the format, because the card is your units or you fold them, and the philosophy one of them you have to split them in the middle, because on one side you write everything, like you have a problem and you write everything it's under your control, and everything that's not under your control, and you just cut them in the middle and toss out the part that's not of your control to focus only on what your control. It's a really helped me realize that when I'm making a game, I'm not still making the rules. I can play with the media of the game too. So we're starting incorporating these ideas on RPGs too. So you'll see some of more this crazy playing with the media approach to games in my future releases, probably.
Nice. Yeah, I've got to check that one out with the what's in your control and what's out of your control, but for sure, because I have really bad anxiety issues, which
Yeah,
I actually
that
use.
might I don't know if that might help. It would help me, but yeah.
Hey, I'm open to anything. So anything that could help.
Whoever wanna talk about it, like I had a really terrible crisis of anxiety in 2021, and I got to treatment in Vibro. I attacked it from all fronts, you know, exercise, meditating, stoicism, and alternative medicine, and all this kind of stuff, and I'm getting better. It's not you can't get cured, but it gets more manageable, I
Yeah,
think.
I would agree. Well, that sounds really, really cool. Are those available
Yeah, and
as print
you
on
can get it
demand?
completely for free. Not on print on demand. I'm trying to convince Exalted Funeral to maybe try to like print them and sell them in sets. So because there are like 4 cards, or maybe more of them, because the one that's you have to cut in the middle, you could have more of, like, sell more than one. So yeah,
Well, I hope they do it.
yeah. I had a meeting Thursday to talk about this, but I had some problems here with the kid, and I couldn't make it. So I'm trying to reschedule.
Well, I hope it pans out because I'll be one of the first people to buy them. So,
There you
so Carlos, my next question for you is: how old were you when you first started drawing?
É a quarta
Com que
pergunta para
idade,
tu.
né? Uhum,
Isso.
tá. Eu acho que, como todo mundo, e quando eu falo todo mundo mesmo, né? Eu desenho desde criança. Na minha opinião, todo mundo desenha quando é criança, só que algumas pessoas param e outras continuam, né?
Igual
E
eu, foi a mesma coisa. Fala a mesma coisa.
sempre assim. E na minha família, tipo, meu pai desenhava, meu pai pintava quadros por hobby, assim, pintava quadro para dar de presente, não era uma fonte de renda. E a minha família, sempre tive muitos primos que eram envolvidos com isso. A minha família é muito envolvida com música. Então, o pessoal dava valor para isso. Então, era normal, assim, os primos reunidos e todo mundo desenhando, fazendo competiçãozinha de quem desenha tal coisa melhor ou tal coisa pior, e passar o dia desenhando, assim. Eu me lembro que a minha infância era muito envolvendo isso. E daí, quando eu comecei a jogar RPG, quando eu tinha uns 9, 10 anos, um primo mais velho também, de outra cidade, né, vem com o livro do AD&D, segunda edição, assim, eu acho aquilo incrível. E daí, ali que eu comecei a desenhar mais coisas fantasiosas mesmo, assim, porque daí a minha diversão era desenhar um personagem e depois criar esse personagem, né? Mesmo que eu não entendesse as regras, imagina uma criança com o livro de AD&D 2, mas, ou o contrário, né? Criava o personagem, ia lá, e daí, depois da primeira aventura, ia lá e desenhava o personagem. E meio que foi
Uhum.
desde sempre, assim, desde que eu me conheço por gente, eu desenho.
Yeah, well, he said something that I always say too. Like everybody stop drawing when they're kids. And some people just stop, and he didn't. Like I didn't. And his father used to draw, like actual paintings. Make paintings. But more for a hobby, not like as a professional, like a professional artist. But his cousins were always involved with art, music, and his family used to really respect that, and said that was an important thing. Remembers when he was a kid, and all the cousins would like get together and spend all the afternoon drawing and like trying to beat each other to see who draw this or that better. And that was like his childhood. And he remembers when he started playing RPGs. Like he got the AD&D second edition books and looked at the arts and thought that was like incredible. And then he started drawing more fantasy stuff, like scenes. And one of his shared moments or memories was when he made the character, he got really excited to draw the character, sometimes more than actually playing the character. Sometimes, like, was one of the major parts of the fun of playing RPGs was like drawing the characters.
Nice. That's really cool. So, Carlos, where do you find your inspiration? And what I mean by that is if somebody comes to you and says, I want a fighter drawn, fighting, say, a giant, how does your brain come up with what to draw? I think.
Can I? Is that it, or are you asking
Yeah.
anything more? Okay. Carlos, é a quinta pergunta, né, da parada da inspiração, mas ele está perguntando assim uma parada mais específica. Se um cliente chega para você e fala assim, cara, eu quero que você desenhe um guerreiro para mim. Onde você vai para ter essa ideia? Como você cria o conceito de como é que vai ser esse guerreiro? Como é que vai ser a armadura dele, o cabelo dele? Para quem vai estar? Esse tipo de coisa, né?
Aham. Então, isso é uma coisa que eu fui aprendendo com o tempo, porque quando eu desenhava só quando eu tinha vontade, então eu desenhava quando me sentia inspirado, enfim, né? Quando tu começa a trabalhar para os outros, tu não pode mais depender disso, né? Tu tem que fazer, tu tem uma demanda e então tu tem que aprender a criar essa inspiração, né? De alguma forma, né? E hoje em dia, com Pinterest, Instagram, jogo de videogame, é muito fácil. Então eu já, eu já peguei como hábito de quando eu estou de bobeira, eu vou no Pinterest e digito lá, guerreiro, e vem um monte de referência, e eu tenho uma pastinha de guerreiro, sabe? Um dia daí eu tenho um monte de pastinha, então agora o simples fato de eu estar navegando no Pinterest, o Pinterest já começa a me apresentar algumas imagens e eu salvo, uma para cena, outra para monstros, outra eu tenho uma pasta bestiário. Então, quando vem o cliente me pede, por exemplo, um guerreiro, eu já tenho um lugar que eu vou buscar algumas coisas ali, né? E claro, tem coisas que são mais simples, como um guerreiro. O guerreiro sempre vai tirar de um filme, tira o rosto de um amigo, um personagem que tu mesmo já jogou, mas quando é algo mais elaborado, como uma cena ou um monstro, eu recorro a esse aglomerado de imagens que eu já tenho salvas, né?
Você pesquisa em parada tipo na fonte histórica, você só vai em ilustração de outros artistas, ou você às vezes procura referência histórica, umas paradas assim,
Eu tenho
de
isso, eu tenho
lugares, de
pasta.
fotos,
Isso, exato. Tem coisas como, por exemplo, guerreiros, eu gosto de, quando a gente está trabalhando com personagens humanoides, eu gosto de trabalhar com verossimilhança. Então, eu tenho pasta de armadura real, espada real, pintura de guerreiros, né? Daí eu gosto de ir para essa fonte, até porque para não ficar dependendo só da visão de outros artistas e aos poucos tu ir
sim,
criando a tua
sim, ficar
mesmo,
aquela
né?
parada remastigada, né?
Isso,
Retroalimentada.
isso. Inclusive, eu gosto mais de trabalhar com fotos e hoje em dia tem sites que tu pega como é que é o termo? Tipo, como se fosse a fotografia do filme é dividida em várias fotos, não me lembro o nome do termo disso, mas tem dois sites que eu conheço que tu lembra de um filme que tem alguma coisa que te ajuda lá, tu encontra tudo separadinho em fotos, assim.
Okay. He said this kind of stuff like he learned from practice, like over the time. When he started, he would draw most for himself, so he would wait for inspiration and would do like what the inspiration came from. Maybe he saw something and then would do that. But as he started working for people and the clients would need this illustration in a certain amount of time, he has to work. He has to he can't wait for inspiration. So he started building his own database of reference. So he has like Instagram profiles he saves or like video game manuals, and mostly today like uses Pinterest to save like folders like these collections of reference from maybe monster animals, places, forests, all this kind of categories he can search and stuff. And more simple things, it's easier, so he has a lot of Reddit reference. But for more complex scenes and monsters, like he likes to go for, if he can, he got to go to original sources and like look for, like when he's trying to do an armor, he look for historical armors, maybe photographs of museums or this archaeological research and stuff. prefers photos than illustrations because he can, go to the source and do it more realistic and find his own interpretation of the thing instead of just going and seeing how another artist did and copy their solution in this case.
Sounds like a lot of research.
Yeah.
So Diogo, a project of yours that actually slipped completely under my radar that I just recently ordered that I'd love to have you tell folks about is Screams Amongst the Stars. What is...
Yeah, it Screams yeah, oh, okay.
Oh, what
Go
is
ahead.
that all about?
Well, Screams Among the Stars is a space horror RPG. I released it together with The Dead Are Coming, which is our zombie survival horror game, and Running Out of Time, which is like a cyberpunk capitalist horror game. All of them uses the basis of the Mark of the Odd system with some modifications for each of the genres and settings. Screams Among the Stars specifically is a space horror game, but not one that it's more focused on like flesh-eating aliens and this kind of things, but like fighting monsters and this kind of space horror, more about like finding the weird phenomena of space and these alien ruins that play with reality and then perception and change time, space, and reality somehow. You can still have like flesh-eating aliens there, but and the game also comes with like a structure of a setting of these space colonies and then these different conglomerates of governments on Earth that has expanded into space, and all these different alien factions that do weird stuff and have weird interests, and lots of random tables for you to generate planets, aliens, different space phenomena, alien ruins, and dire situations, and missions and jobs. So it's a really cool game. It really is to play. It really drive in the horror and the weirdness and how this can be stressful to the human mind, and it's also serves as a perfect like toolkit for your favorite space horror game too. So you love Mothership, which is great, or Alien, you can see use Screams Among the Stars like a source of inspiration, a setting, and all these like pages and pages of tables for inspiration for you to create settings, situations, monsters, and whatever you need for your game.
Nice. It sounds really cool. I can't wait to get it. So I ordered it this week, and I've been checking the delivery date every day, hoping it'll be faster.
Thank you.
Oh, I can't wait. We've kind of answered the next couple questions I had for Carlos, so I want to kind of change it up a little bit. Carlos, how do you keep the pace that you do with your art? Because it seems like you're posting new pieces every day.
How does he keep his pace?
Yeah.
Carlos, ele está perguntando como você mantém esse ritmo de produção quase que frenético aí, que você está sempre produzindo alguma parada toda semana, todo dia postando coisas.
Bom, primeiro, eu tenho um filho, eu tenho conta para pagar, né? Assim, né? Mas agora falando sério, assim, eu sinto que eu realmente me encontrei, né? E eu gosto muito de fazer o que eu estou fazendo. Então, quando eu estou trabalhando, existem poucas coisas que eu gosto mais de fazer do que estar ali ilustrando, criando alguma coisa. Então, para mim, não é nenhum... não é cansativo ficar horas e horas trabalhando. E eu fico imaginando, às vezes, que nem esses caras que eu citei, alguns ilustradores ali que eu citei, que são referências para mim, eu fico pensando assim, cara, esses caras dedicaram a vida deles aí para isso aqui, ó. E hoje eles são conhecidos, eles são. Hoje tu bate o olho numa arte deles, tu sabe que é deles e tal. E se eu quero isso para mim, já que isso aqui é um negócio que eu amo fazer, eu tenho a obrigação de me dedicar muito para melhorar cada vez mais e poder fazer cada vez mais. Tenho muita curiosidade de como vai ser o meu trabalho daqui 30 anos. Como que eu vou enxergar as coisas? Será que a minha visão sobre fantasia vai mudar? Será que meu traço vai mudar? Será que vai ficar mais fácil? Será que eu vou olhar menos para... Eu vou perder... Eu vou procurar menos referências? Já vai estar tudo no meu HD, né? Como que vai ser, assim? Mas, basicamente, assim, eu realmente gosto muito de fazer o que eu estou fazendo. Muito, 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 muito. Vai? Chega a ser um problema, às vezes, em casa, assim, a patroa fica brava com o cara, que o cara só trabalha.
Ah, esse teu problema aqui também, cara. Well, he said that well, he has a kid and he has bills to pay, so he has to keep doing it. But speaking more seriously, he said he found himself in this kind of job, and he really likes what he's doing. And there is actually few things he likes more to do than doing art and creating art and working on his craft. And he thinks about how much these artists that he admired, how much time they dedicated to their craft, their art, their life to do to this, to their work, their accomplishments, and he believes he has the obligation to do the same, and he's curious about how much better will he get as he work more and work on his craft. And in 30 years, how will it be? How will his work be? Will this get any easier? Will it get harder? Will he need to search for more reference? Will his style change? And will he think the same way about fantasy or not? And he likes it so much that sometimes this becomes a problem, even at home. Like his partner complains that he works too much and things like that.
I get the same thing all the time, Carlos, so don't worry. So Diogo, the last time we had actually talked, you were getting ready to release Primal Quest. I believe it had just come out when we had last talked. How have you expanded upon the game since we last talked? That was a lot of since we last talked.
Yeah. Well, the short answer would be I haven't, but I haven't yet because I have like a ton of stuff being worked for it to be released, and haven't been released for like various reasons, like the art super late, and I am late to finish some of the text, and one of the adventures for it, I had to edit heavily, and I have to rewrite some parts of it, and there's a lot of things going on. First of all, we have the Pharaoh, which will be the solo and GM-less source book for Primal Quest, which have cool random tables that even a GM that's running for a group can use to generate stuff on the spot if they need to. So it would be a system to help you play alone or for friends without a referee. And it hasn't come out yet because of art. That is taking a lot of time to get done. I have Fire and Fang, which is basically an adaptation of what I already have out for Primal Quest, but for old school essentials. So we'll have way to use the classes in Primal Quest, how to do with equipment, how to do with magic, how to do with being a stone and sorcery setting, some monsters, the Mother's Veil, like the Hex Scroll and the Cave for People Adventure, all adapted to old school chainsaws, but we are missing the cover and the internal art. I have some of them. We also have the Primal World of Taya #1, which will have information about the setting, random tables, monsters, new character options, rules to play with that thing that I said about the media of the RPGs. So there will be rules for you as a player to play as an ancestor of your character. So like the ancestor spirit that is there guiding your character. So you have the role in the game as a player. So this meta game stuff that we do on top of the game now will have diegetic parts in the game itself. And we will have an adventure there too. We'll have a bestiary being worked by Chris Sorrell from the Myth Castle. We have an adventure that I'm working together with Perplexing Ruins to release it. And I have another adventure that's like a spaceship that fall on this prehistoric planet with robots, aliens, and all kinds of weird stuff, including like a vibrating weapons and you can even turn the spaceship engine zone and use it like a big torch to fire up and cook like these monsters prepared actually that might attack you. So we have lots of stuff being worked for Primal Quest, and my plan is to really support this line and have a lot of stuff published for it, and eventually like release like a more sturdy core book, like compiling all of these things that we are producing for it. And so yeah, and even the system for Primal Quest we'll get a license for to build other games around it, and we already have some people working on games using the Primal powered system, which is for Primal Quest. Even myself, I'm making other games using the same system.
That sounds awesome. I don't know how both of you keep up the pace that you do with putting out work.
I think I'm very unproductive. Seriously.
I would disagree.
Sometimes I spend weeks without doing anything. And then I have like a burst of productivity, and then I'm back on being like this anxious furry ball of just complaining about AI art on the internet.
Well, I would disagree. I think your productivity is off the chart, man. It seems like you've always got something coming out, both of you. So I think it's fantastic.
Thank. Try to convince myself that I don't know. I think I've made an order for this year to impression that I'm stuff, but my stuff isn't done. So I have this dissonance that I'm working a lot, but so what the hell is going on, you know? And then I spend 1 week wondering why my stuff isn't getting done.
I do that a lot. So you know what I'm working on, trying to work on, and it's taken me forever. So
yeah, that's one of the reasons for the business card games. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do this business card shit because it's just a business card, so I'll get this done.
Maybe I should try doing that and see if that works. The next question we already answered that I had was of whether or not Carlos had always been a professional artist. We answered that one. But Carlos, what current art trends, or I guess would be the way to say it, inspire your work this day? I seem to be on a big inspiration kick with you.
Carlos, eu tô perguntando a 11, que é das novas correntes, novas tendências de arte, se tem alguma coisa que inspira o seu trabalho.
Essa pergunta eu tive que pensar bastante, porque eu fiquei... Porque como o meu trabalho é muito nichado, né? É uma coisa Eu até fiz pouquíssimas coisas que não foram para OSR e fantasia medieval, por exemplo, né?
Uhum.
Mas eu tô sempre ligado em novos artistas, assim, eu sigo muitos artistas, assim, tô sempre e meio com aquela ideia que eu sei que é um livro que o Diogo gosta bastante, que é Roube como Artista. Se eu bater um olho no artista,
Minha
cara, eu
Bíblia.
gosto tipo assim, esse cara aqui, eu posso roubar alguma coisa daqui, eu posso aprender com ele, né? Eu já começo a seguir, e se aquilo me tocou demais, eu já, inclusive, peço para o Instagram me notificar quando ele postar alguma coisa, né? Mas, e, inclusive, os caras que eu citei ali estão produzindo ainda, né? Das minhas influências. Eles ainda estão produzindo, eles ainda estão sofrendo alterações no trabalho deles, né? Tu vê principalmente o Pog agora, uns 2 anos para cá, o trabalho dele deu um salto incrível de novo, assim, mudou muito, assim, tu pega esse DCC novo e o primeiro DCC que veio aqui para o Brasil, assim,
Sem dúvida.
a diferença é absurda do trabalho do cara.
Well, he said most of this stuff he makes for OSR games and even just fantasy RPGs, and but he's still like look around for new artists and other people doing this kind of work, and he's always on Instagram and looking for new artists, and when something touches him, some kind of style of art, he like saves it and try to study it somehow. And even the artists he mentioned before that inspires his work, like Stefan Pogue from DCC, for example. His stuff has changed a lot from like 2.5 years or 2 years until now, and his work has really evolved quite a bit, and he still studies what these artists are doing, how are their work changing, and what he can incorporate. And he mentioned a book that I always mention to everybody. It's like my creative Bible, which is this one here. Is still like an artist, and that's what he does. He tries to see what he can learn from these people and artists that he's discovering. I don't know if that's like what is art trends, but that's one thing he does.
No, that's fantastic. I wish I could get, like, I look at art and I still can only draw stick figures. So I commend you for the ability to adapt other people's work or their styles into yours, because it seems impossible to me to be able to draw.
Ele tá parabenizando de você conseguir pegar essas influências e botar no seu estilo, que para ele parece impossível para uma pessoa com desenho.
Mas eu fico feliz que os outros olhem e achem que está dando certo, porque para mim parece que nunca está dando certo. Para mim parece que
Cara, seu trabalho cresceu pra caramba desses 4 anos aí também. Parabéns mesmo.
Ah, obrigado. Tá bom.
He said thank you, and he's glad some people think it's working, because he sometimes he doesn't believe it's working.
Oh, it's working. So Diogo, my next question for you is, you recently made some contributions to the totally awesome folklore bestiary. Which of the creatures that you worked on was your favorite to bring to the page?
I would say there are 2 favorites. One is my favorite because of the story I developed around it, because the folklore bestiary, it wasn't necessary to be like a really faithful reproduction of the folklore creature from your folklore, especially because there's like so many different versions of it. So I created this boitatau. It's like this ancient serpent that has survived all the cataclysms of the world. So it's like the most ancient creature on the planet, and so she has all this knowledge of all the eras of all the ages of the world, right? But she collects eyes, so that's her thing. when you ask her a question, she asks for your eyes in exchange. And I love it, this concept. So that's how she accumulates the knowledge. So everything you see, she gets it now, you know. And that's how I built it around it, because the legend wasn't necessarily like that. There was one legend that said she was the oldest one, and this kind of stuff. And there's the other one that she collected eyes. She loved sweet eyes. So I started like combining these different versions to make this legendary creature that lived for since the beginning of time. And she collects the eyes, and by eating them, she absorbed her visions. And now she has like the visual memory and her own memory of all these ages of the earth, you know. And there's this other creature that's called corpo seco, which translates to dried body. That it's basically a zombie, but it's kind of an immortal zombie, because this creature isn't a zombie because someone cursed her or anything like that. It's because this person died, and this person was the evilest person that ever was, you know. So they can't get to heaven because obviously God wouldn't accept them, and even Satan doesn't accept them because they're more evil than Satan. So they have no place to go. So they're alive forever. And the power I gave it to this, so you see, this creature ain't so powerful. She's just basically mortal. But for me, the power I gave to her is that every time she's going to take an action, the referee has to ask everybody on the table what will be the cruelest thing, the evilest thing this creature could do right now. And as everybody gives their ideas, the referee chooses the worst one, because this is the evilest creature there, right? So we have to combine all our evil minds to see what this creature is gonna do. So I love it doing that, because if people know my work, my games combine old school stuff, old school way of playing, with more modern and even more narrative stuff. So I managed to make a creature for old school essentials that has a little bit of shared narrative in it. So, you know, everybody at the table participates in how this creature is going to be played. And I was pretty proud of how I made that for DD, you know.
Yeah, the Corpo Seco is amazing. I was going to say that's my favorite of the ones that you designed, was that one.
Yeah, I managed to be pretty cruel on the traps.
I liked it.
I have this fame of being an evil dungeon master, but I am not. But I like to. We have a saying here in Brazil that it's se fazem a cama, eu deito na cama. Se fazem a fama, eu deito na cama, which means if they make the fame, I lay on the bed. So if they say I'm a crow, I'm an evil game master, I'm gonna play the role they created, you know. But I'm not really that. But I pretend to be, you know. I don't believe in being an antagonist DM, but playing the part is fun, because it builds tension on the table, you know.
It does. It really does. Yeah. So back to Carlos, one of your projects I'm very excited to support is Ink Potion Studios. What can you tell me about Ink Potion Studios and the other artists you work with? And how do you collaborate with them and support one another?
É a pergunta ali do Ink Point Studio, né? Como você trabalha, né? Como é que são os outros artistas, como é que você se suporta, como vocês se apoiam, né? Essas paradas.
Cara, assim, primeiro eu queria deixar claro, assim, que eu agora que já fazem 6 meses que a gente abriu o estúdio, eu me considero um cara de muita sorte de ter essa galera comigo, assim. O projeto começou numa conversa entre eu e o Yuri. A gente vinha conversando sobre Patreon, né? Mas a ideia era cada um fazer o seu, né? Conforme a gente foi conversando, tipo, cara, se a gente fizer só nós dois, se a gente chamar mais gente, e foi Mas assim, a gente ia conversando pouquinho, até que um dia o Yuri meteu os peitos, puxou a frente e a gente fez, assim. Mas o Yuri foi o cara que fez acontecer mesmo, assim, né? Vamos lá.
Ele que chamou a galera, é isso?
Ele que chegou assim e separou um dia, ó, então segunda-feira que vem a gente vai resolver isso. Daí segunda ele me chamou para uma reunião, a gente conversou, ele falou, ó, escolhe um, eu escolho um, né, para que tu confia para a gente tentar isso e vamos
Mas aí
lá.
vocês definiram que vocês iam fazer juntos.
Isso. E daí a gente já começou a olhar alguns outros artistas para conversar, para ver o que, porque eu tinha muito medo no início, porque assim, tu vai lidar com outros artistas e tu vai lidar com prazo, né? Então, né, ó, tem que entregar tal arte até tal dia, todo mundo todos os artistas vão ter que desenhar X
Isso é tenso, hein?
ilustrações até tal dia. Tinha bastante medo porque eu e o Yuri a gente é muito frenético trabalhando, né? Mas
Sim.
todo
Eu
mundo é
lembro
assim.
das brincadeiras que vocês faziam no Instagram. Pô, participa aí. Pô, cara, vou tentar, cara. Eu nunca consegui, cara.
Né? E
Foda.
daí foi, só que co- começou a vingar a gente, nós quatro, porque é eu, o Yuri, o Ricardo Gaspar e o Geraldo Marinho. A gente ficou amigo, a gente vai até começar a jogar RPG junto aí, né, muito
Qual o
difícil
nome
a
deles?
gente.
Peraí, é o
É,
Yuri
o Yuri Perkowski, né? É,
Perkowski.
esse tem que olhar lá, não tem como
Esses
só
nomes são
entrar,
difíceis,
não tem.
cara.
O Geraldo Marinho
Esse é mais fácil.
e o Ricardo Gaspar. Somos nós quatro que estamos no INC.
Sim.
E é muito divertido, porque a gente combinou que são 3 artes para cada artista, né? Cada artista tem que fazer 3 artes no mês, e tem mais uma arte extra, exclusiva, que cada mês vai ser um artista que vai fazer. Então, no mês eu faço 4 artes, nos outros todos eu faço 3, daqui 3 meses eu faço 4 de novo, né? Aí a
Legal.
gente, a gente define um tema, né? A gente faz uma votação, alguma coisa, define o estilo, né? Como que vai ser, busto, personagem, cena, essas coisas, e pau na máquina. E é muito legal porque cada um tem um estilo diferente. Não, né? O meu estilo do Yuri é muito diferente do Ricardo, que é muito diferente do Gaspar. E em cada mês um se destaca, sabe? Às vezes a gente fez, sei lá, a gente vai fazer monstro. O monstro de um ali ficou muito melhor que o dos outros. E aquilo já te espeta o ego um pouquinho, daí tu te obriga a se puxar um pouquinho mais, a se dedicar. Rola a gente brinca, né? É um relacionamento tóxico saudável. Tu tá sempre com medo, com a água batendo na bunda, assim, sempre com medo que o teu amigo seja muito melhor do que tu, assim, fica aquela... Mas, claro, isso falando de um jeito muito saudável, assim, a gente brinca, né? E tá sendo muito divertido, cara, muito, muito melhor do que eu imaginei que seria.
Tá, tô terminando de anotar aqui mesmo.
Eu imaginei que eu...
Beleza. Okay. Well, he first wants to make it clear, like they have been doing this for 6 months, and he considers himself a really lucky person to be working with them on this project and this working out. In the beginning, he and Yuri, which is Yuri Perkowski, which is another Brazilian. They all are Brazilian artists, like the Inkpot and Suder. There are 4 Brazilian artists, which are Carlos Castilho himself, Yuri Perkowski, Geraldo Marinho, and Ricardo Gaspar. Each of them have unique styles. They all do like black and white art, but each of them do their own thing. So in the beginning, was just like him and Yuri talking about doing something on Patreon because it was a way like of getting this regular income. And initially they thought about either of them having their own, but they started talking and seeing that maybe if they would do this together, they could drive more traffic, more people, each of them had their following. And then one day Yuri just snapped and like took over and put the thing to work, like sort of no more talking, let's do this. And he make like a meeting on a Monday and called Carlos, and each of them would choose friends to work together, and they got it all together, started a Patreon. And he said in the beginning he was really afraid what could happen, because you rely on yourself for fulfilling deadlines and doing work, but working with 3 other people, egos could clash. You have deadlines to fulfill, and he was afraid it could not work, maybe somehow, but it started working really well, and they have been doing great, have been having a lot of fun. So it's basically every month, each of them have like 3 arts to do. They decide what is going to be the size, if it's a boost, if it's a character, if it's a scene. And each month, one of them will have like making one excellent new art. And he said it's really fun, and it's kind of they build this friendship that's kind of each month one of them they talk to each other how it went, and they kind of have this competition to see who did better this month or the other, and so they push each other, push them forward to be better. So he kind of jokingly said it's kind of a healthy toxic relationship, because like you kind of feel envy because of this guy made so much better than you, but it kind of motivates you to do better next month. So it's fun, but it like you see like, oh, this is doing better than me, but okay, next month I'm gonna get you. So it's nice, and yeah, I think that's it. And he said it's doing way better than he imagined it would go.
That's awesome. I am glad to support it. And
yeah, me too.
It sounds like a bit like your competitions with your cousins back when you were a kid of who could do better.
Yeah. He said, ele falou que parece um pouco daquelas competições que você falou que fazia com seus primos quando você era pequeno.
Isso.
Yeah, he agrees.
So, Carlos, if you could pick basically a dream job to work on, what would it be, or are you already fulfilling your dream?
A pergunta do sonho ali. Trabalho
sim.
de sonho, uma parada que fazia.
Então, cara, na boa, assim, eu já sinto que a minha vida tá indo muito para um sonho se realizando, um sonho que tinha sido esquecido em algum momento, porque, né, o cara ficava pensando, tem como trabalhar ilustrando para RPG. Quando eu era muito novo ali, Brasil, início dos anos 2000, era Vampiro e D&D. Daí, na minha cabeça, eu imaginava que só ilustrando para essas empresas eu poderia ganhar dinheiro com RPG, né? E depois que eu me envolvi com a cena, eu vi que não é bem assim. Eu acho maravilhoso isso de conseguir viver ilustrando jogos de RPG, sabe? Eu acho, porque eu não sou um cara que cria jogos, eu não sou um cara que escreve histórias, mas quando tu tá desenhando, tu tá colaborando com isso de alguma forma, né? Tu tá dando a tua visão para o projeto. E claro, sim.
Eu também não sabia não, mas se um dia tu quiser começar a escrever, quiser alguma dica, alguma coisa assim, eu comecei só desenhando também.
É verdade, né? Tu começou desenhando, que eu te fiz muitas perguntas
sobre
isso.
E
claro que assim, eu tenho sonhos, assim como eu fiquei muito feliz por ter participado agora do projeto do Old School Essentials para o Brasil. A Ink Potion ilustrou as fichas, e aí a gente ainda botou mais algumas ilustrações dentro do livro, por causa de foram necessárias algumas alterações, né? Então, eu fiz 2 fichas e eu botei 3 ilustrações ali. Para mim, isso é muito significativo, porque é um jogo que eu realmente gosto, é um jogo que eu jogo, né? E claro que eu tenho mais sonhos no meio disso. eu gostaria de trabalhar com algum jogo específico também, mas assim, se nada disso rolar, tá maravilhoso do jeito que tá, assim. Eu sei que tem muita coisa para acontecer, eu trabalho
Mas tu tem
bastante, as
algum?
coisas...
Compartilha aí, ué.
Não,
Ou
eu
não?
ia achar muito bom. Não, capaz, eu ia achar muito bom se um dia eu trabalhasse com alguma coisa para Goodman Games. Eu já pude fazer alguns trabalhos para DCC, mas foi feito por fã, né? Um zine, alguma coisa. Eu até tenho feito bastante coisa.
Sim, sim.
Ou ilustrar um livro-jogo, eu ia achar muito maneiro. Eu ia achar muito maneiro ilustrar um livro-jogo, não importa de onde ele viesse, porque eu acho, tipo, fazer aquelas ilustrações de tudo com a visão do personagem, sabe? Sempre, eu andei fazendo
Saquei.
algumas ilustrações
Primeira
assim para o
pessoa, assim?
pessoal, sempre assim, fazer o livro inteiro ilustrado assim. Até tem umas do Russ Nixon, que é assim, ele fez uma série de ilustrações assim, o cara abrindo a porta, ele encontra uns orcs ou uns goblins numa mesa, daí tem o combate, depois tem a mãozinha pegando as moedas, eu achei aquilo maravilhoso. Mas a minha vida é muito boa, cara, olha, eu não tenho motivo nenhum para reclamar.
Saquei. Well, he said it's already like a dream for him to work with RPGs, you know, because when he started playing RPGs, he thought about the only way you could possibly survive illustrating for RPGs would be drawing for big games like Vampire or D&D or something like that, and to be able to live of his art doing illustration for RPGs and independent RPGs and RPGs that he plays. Like he in Brazil, there's a publisher. Like I am part of this publisher. We have a publisher that's publishing old school extensions in Brazil called RPG Planet Press, and because in Portuguese, like translating to English from English to Portuguese, the word count usually increases for about 30%. So we are printing old school extensions in like a bigger format instead of this like digit size. You're gonna print it in like the size of the Forbidden Land books. So it's
Okay.
like B5, you know.
Yep.
So it's gonna be a little bit bigger, and so we hired people to do some extra illustrations. So Castilho did 2 character sheets and some illustrations from inside of the book. So our old school extensions will have like exclusive art in addition to all the art the original one had, and we sent it to Gavin for approval, and it's all approved. And but he said he has like other dreams too. Like he would love to illustrate something for Dungeon Crawl Classics, from Goodman Games. He has done things for zines and third-party products for DCC, but it's kind of a dream to illustrate for Goodman Games too. Or he said he wanted to illustrate like a game book and do a series of illustrations from like a first-person view of the thing, like Rose Nicholson did some time ago. You know, that's it.
It would be cool. I think your style would fit DCC perfectly. Like, I think it aligns very well with DCC.
Ele disse que acha que o teu estilo combinaria bem com o DCC.
Ah, que massa. Eu tenho um cliente...
Manda um portfólio para mim, você manda um link para mim que eles estão procurando por gente mesmo. Ano que vem.
Então tá, vou mandar, depois eu vou mandar.
So,
até tem mas tem um cliente que é o Nick Baran, que ele tem um zine de DCC,
sim.
e daí ele todo mês ele me chama para alguma coisa assim, né?
Legal. He said Nick Barron that does DCC stuff every month invites him to ask him to do something.
nice. Well, I hope you get to work with Goodman Games. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So my next question is really for both of you. We kind of touched on this a little bit, Diogo, before we went live. Something relatively new on the RPG scene is folks using AI generated art for their role-playing game projects. Could you both give me, I guess, your opinion on this trend?
How do you want to go first?
Let's have Carlos go first.
Então, Carlos, vai lá. Você tem alguma coisa a
Tá.
dizer de opinião sobre...
Beleza. Então, nessa eu vou querer que daí tudo que tu diga ainda tu traduza para mim, porque para eu realmente quero me envolver com a
ele falou para
conversa.
você, eu perguntou quem ele queria
Não,
que
não,
escrever,
não,
falou
não.
você.
É que tu vai dar tua resposta também para ele. Daí eu vou querer a tradução da tua
Tá.
resposta também para poder
Ok.
desenvolver, porque eu, assim, bem sinceramente, eu não parei para pensar muito sobre isso. Eu estou vendo um burburinho, eu vejo o pessoal usando, eu já vi alguns clientes usando. Tem cliente que usa como só para quebrar o galho até pegar, enfim. Eu acho, sinceramente, que é uma ferramenta interessante, porque existem projetos que talvez nunca fossem sair, porque o cara não tem condição nenhuma de botar arte ali. Então, o cara foi ali, fez o projeto dele, ele quer uma capa, ele quer um... Eu acho que é legal existir uma ferramenta que pode ajudar ele, sabe? Eu não vejo nenhum problema nisso, eu acho que é uma ferramenta interessante, eu acho que ela não substitui, eu nem sei, assim, para o que ela foi criada realmente. Eu digo isso porque, assim, se tu explicar para alguém o que é o Instagram, o que é o Pinterest, eles são a mesma coisa, mas a gente usa para coisas diferentes, né? Então, eu não sei exatamente para o que essa ferramenta foi criada. Eu estou vendo que ela está melhorando bastante, já está aparecendo uns trabalhos incríveis ali. Tu bota umas tags nela, né? E ela gera alguma coisa para ti, né? Como eu disse, já teve um cliente que veio perguntar se eu não trabalharia com isso, né? Ele ia me entregar algumas artes e eu ia fazer algumas alterações nela, porque normalmente ela vem com algum problema na mão, né? Ou algum personagem vem com um dedo extra, um seio extra, vem com alguma coisa no cabelo. Então, ele pediu para se eu não fazia esse tipo de correção, mas eu não parei muito para pensar sobre isso ainda. Quero ver agora o que tu vai dizer para eu refletir sobre.
Okay. He says he sees some of his clients using it for like a cover or filling the book with art with images from these generators and stuff. And he said he thinks it's an instrument tool that allows low budget projects to get published that wouldn't otherwise be published without AR art. AR generated images. It doesn't substitute. I think doesn't substitute. The human creator. But he said he didn't give it much thought yet. He didn't stop to think a lot about it. He's not exactly sure why those things were created. What is the purpose of it? That you put some words in, it generates something. And he told about a client that wanted him to treat these AI generated images to like edit the weird out, like the extra fingers and the third boob, or the weird stuff that it makes in attempts to mimic human art. But he didn't do that not because he was against it, because that wasn't what he does. That's he draws stuff. He doesn't usually edit other images. But he didn't give much thought to it, and he wanted me not only when I talk up to you what my opinion is, but then to translate to him what I'm saying, so he can give some thought to what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so my opinion about it. First of all, when I talk I'm trying to avoid talking too much about AI generated stuff and talk more about the human art, like the humanity in the art, and exalt human artists on all their qualities, all their uniqueness, the magic that is in their work, and why their work are so unique to them, how their humanity has so influenced and make their work so interesting. Because that's what I think where the difference is. But okay, let's dive in. He talks about allowing this. This is a tool that allows low budget products to get published. However, there's a big problem with AI art, which is based on ethics and morals. You know, these machines are not intelligent. You know, they are algorithms. They are like mathematical algorithms that takes a database of literally millions and thousands, or I don't know how much art that is fed to it, so it can study its patterns, study its. You know how music, there's like scales in music, so these notes goes best after that note and that note and that note. So the algorithm learns what goes with this word or that word and goes in sequence with that. So the algorithm doesn't think about a composition. It learns a pattern about thousands of compositions they have studied, and they make a mixture of all of this and present you something. So it doesn't think about how it's a narrative that's going to create on that image, because I bet when Carlos is creating like a scene, he thinks about what this character is doing, what that character is doing, how it all connects with each other. When this algorithm spit out an image, that thought doesn't exist. So today I've spent like a good amount of time working, looking through all these profiles on Instagram that promote AI generated images, and I started looking this pattern of them, and they seem really well made, and they are really well made technically. They look stunning, but I don't know. For me, they're like a really beautiful Easter egg that's empty inside, you know, because you see a lot of choices. Like you see this very detailed picture, but you start looking more into it, you see choices that are weird. Why there is this horn here? Where does this blade comes from? There's this blade behind this woman, but doesn't go for anywhere. And all the people, they're usually not doing anything. They're just posing, looking somewhere, or just laying with there. They're not. When you see like an image, imagine like an image in an auditorium. Let's one of this really classic, like the Last Supper. There's this Jesus on the middle, and there's all these other guys that I don't know the names because I'm not religious or anything, but there are all these other characters doing something by his side. They're like talking to each other, or they're looking the other way with suspicion. Each of them tells a story. Each character, there's this complex image, is doing something. There's all this narrative that you can spend, I don't know, a full day just admiring and coming up with everything that's going on. But you see like a similar image generated from this algorithm, and you see all these elements, a lot of elements there, but they are not really doing anything. You don't see a story being told there. You don't see a character talking to each other, looking the other way. You see some expressions when they're close, but their arms are really usually down, and they're not doing anything. You can't really see these narratives hidden there. And as I said, there's always these choices that seem weird, like why this cloth has this detail and this thing jutting out of it, and you can't ask anyone because no one is responsible for that. You can ask the guy that even wrote the prompt, why there is this horn here. Said, I didn't write any horn. The computer just made a horn, you know. So it's, for me, it's really about that. About art is a lot about telling a story and saying something, it's a human expression. And when you give this to a formula, it's what is expressing? They're not expressing, they're repeating like a mimic, like a parrot.
Yes.
And you have a dialogue and you can say all the things, and the parrots, maybe they have a really good diction, maybe they say really beautiful and complex words, but you can't talk to a parrot. So for me, that's the same thing with AI generated images. They're like a parrot of human art.
Gotcha.
Então, Castilho, eu falei basicamente que eu tenho uma opinião um pouco diferente da sua, que... Oh, and let me talk about the interest, the projects that allow projects to be viable. There is public domain art, like a lot. A lot of this, it's available. You can play with this and do really amazing stuff. You see Morkborg. There's a lot public domain art on Morkborg, and Morkborg is freaking awesome, beautiful. So that excuse is kind of meh, but okay. One thing that I know we won't be able to get rid of AI art, but we can maybe regulate it to make it fair, to make it usable, to make it accessible, make it open source. We can feed it only public domain images, or if you're putting images you don't have rights on, everything you create with that has to be free too, because you're using the work of others for free. It's like Creative Commons, Creative Commons, if you take something that's Creative Commons, when you release it, you have to release it at Creative Commons too. So if you're using AI art that's basically built on the work of other people that you're not paying, well, what you're making should be available for other people too, for example, But usually when the subject is AI art, I prefer to just exalt human art. But now I will translate to Carlos.
Okay.
Carlos, basicamente, you want to say anything, Dave?
No, I'll let you translate. Yeah. That's a lot to translate.
Yeah. Carlos, eu basicamente disse assim, que eu tenho uma opinião um pouco diferente da tua, que você falou esse negócio de permitir que projetos de baixo custo sejam publicados, né? E tal. E eu falei que meio mais ou menos isso, porque assim, já tem muita coisa de imagem de domínio público disponível. Você pode fazer um trabalho incrível com tipografia sem usar a imagem. Você tem muitas opções, mas assim, se for falar sobre isso, eu acho que é viável também que, já que essas imagens são criadas sem pagar para ninguém, que os projetos que sejam criados para elas também sejam gratuitos, entendeu? É uma possibilidade também. Tipo Creative Commons. Você pode pegar uma coisa Creative Commons, mas o seu trabalho que você quer com Creative Commons tem que ser Creative Commons também. Talvez esse projeto que ele fez lá até não seja gratuito, mas as imagens que ele gerar para aquilo ali tem que estar available para todo mundo, cara. Se você está criando uma imagem sem pagar os direitos para alguém, a imagem que você gerar ali tem que estar disponível para todo mundo. Eu falei que tem uma questão com AI-art. Ética e moral, porque tem essa coisa do copyright que nós estamos tirando, do trabalho. Cara, tem empresa que contratava ilustradores, não sei o que agora tá mandando pro departamento de arte assim, vai no Midjourney e fica gerando essa parada. Já tá tirando trabalho das pessoas. Já tá acontecendo, já é uma realidade a parada. Mas a questão é isso. Não
eu
tem
tinha levado muito pro lado do RPG mesmo, né?
Não tem a contabilidade, tem outra parada. Quando eu falo, eu gosto de falar da arte humana, porque a arte humana tem essa parada narrativa. Quando você vê uma imagem complexa, por exemplo, imagine uma ilustração de uma galera num auditório, assim. Ou, na verdade, eu falei, imagina, então, aquela cena da última ceia, tá Jesus no meio e os apóstolos do lado, né? Você vê cada apóstolo, o cara tá fazendo uma parada, tá contando uma história, ele tem um gestual, ele tem sabe, tá contando uma história. Você pode olhar para cada um deles, você vai ver tá acontecendo alguma coisa. Você pode passar o dia inteiro admirando aquela obra, aí você vai ver histórias, vai ver detalhes que você não via antes. Mas você pede o mesmo tipo de coisa para uma arte de IA. Eu passei hoje horas analisando perfis de IA no Instagram. E você vê que até algumas têm muitos elementos, mas geralmente as pessoas ou estão paradas, ou estão fazendo pose, ou no máximo uma expressão, mas que não conta muito do que está acontecendo, né? Não tem uma narrativa, porque quando o artista cria uma imagem, eu falo para ele, eu tenho certeza que quando o Castilho faz uma cena mais complexa, ele imagina o que cada pessoa ali está fazendo, o que cada monstro está sentindo, o que ele está, aquela expressão, aquela coisa, está contando uma história. Você olha para a imagem, porra, você, caraca, esse cara vai fazendo isso aqui, olha esse cara, olha esse cara. Uma imagem de AI, tem várias coisas ali, mas você não consegue perceber uma intenção, uma narrativa, elas estão meio que paradas, ou no máximo fazendo um gesto com a mão, uma expressão, mas não tem aquele cara cochichando no ouvido do outro, não tem aquele cara tá dando pickpockets ali, sabe? Não tem aquele cara acendendo um cigarro ali, sabe? É um humano, é alguém fingindo que aquilo não é humano, aquilo não é humano de verdade, né? Mesmo na ilustração que é humano, ela não entende, a Bácara não entende que é humano, o que o humano faz, entendeu? E eu comparei assim com mais ou menos, cara, sabe um papagaio? A gente fala aqui, a gente faz um discurso, tem todo um pensamento. O papagaio não vai repetir aquilo ali. Talvez ele repita com toda a dicção perfeita, fala palavras super complexas, mas você não pode dialogar com o papagaio. E a mesma coisa com a arte de AI. Ela vai fazer, ela vai parecer, né, ali, muito bonito, tecnicamente perfeito, mas não tem um diálogo ali, não tem uma história, não tem uma narrativa. E mesmo tecnicamente perfeita, ela tem várias coisas bizarras escondidas. Você começa a olhar a arte de IA, você vê tem um chifre saindo do nada. De onde veio essa porra desse chifre? Tem uma lâmina na espada que sai atrás de alguém e não tem ninguém segurando, sabe? Tem umas escolhas estranhas, porque ele fala assim, geralmente aqui tem uma espada, e desenha, mas aqui não tem uma espada ali, sabe? São umas escolhas que não tem porque o cara pensou, é só porque ele viu em algum lugar e fez, mas não tem uma inteligência por trás daquilo, e acaba ficando estranho. Tem uma lâmina que tem uns pontinhos vermelhos, de onde que veio aquilo, sabe? Por que aquilo ali? Que referência é aquela? Você não consegue entender que diabo que está acontecendo com aquilo.
E eu já vi muito perfil por aí, pelo Instagram, aí, perfil do cara se intitulando artista de inteligência artificial. Ele gera as artes lá e posta e se intitula artista.
Foi o que eu falei.
Baixa.
Cara, se você manda o briefing para um ilustrador, descreve ele lindo, o cara entrega. Foi você que criou essa porra, foi o artista. Aí o cara fala, mas e o arquiteto? Então vai lá pro construtor, foi o construtor. Não. Aí eu falo, cara, você tá de sacanagem com a minha cara. Você comparar um briefing de umas palavras com um projeto, com plantas, estudo de impacto ambiental, o cara entrega com escrever guerreira, mulher, peituda da floresta, fazendo não sei o que, e apertar Enter. Tá de sacanagem, né? Mas tem gente que faz essas comparações absurdas, enfim. É isso. Okay, Dave, I repeated what I said.
All right. And did he agree with you or?
I don't know. He's asking that if you agree with o Carlos. Ele me perguntou se você concorda comigo ou não, mas assim, sem pressão nenhuma. Eu disse que não pensou muito sobre isso ainda e tal.
Mas eu concordo contigo. Eu preciso pesquisar e entender a parada, porque eu estava olhando de uma forma muito superficial. Assim, eu sinceramente eu só tinha pensado no como isso poderia me impactar e muito por cima, né? Mas eu concordo contigo. Não é perigoso, é criminoso, é complicado. Mas eu vou estudar mais para poder conversar.
Okay. He said he agrees. This sounds like dangerous and problematic, but he's still going to study a little bit more about it and read some articles and think about it. But for now, he kind of agrees, and maybe this approach, maybe turning AR in Creative Commons and things like that, could be a way to look into it.
Cool. Yeah, I think the parrot comparison is spot on with the AI generated art, because it really is. So I had one last thing that I'd like to give both of you the opportunity to let everyone know what you have for upcoming projects, either by the end of the year and going into 2023.
Who do you want to go first?
Oh, you can go first this time.
Okay. Well, I have probably way more projects that I could ever finish for 2023, but I have a few I talked about earlier for Primal Quest, the solo and gemless supplements.
Oh, we lost Diogo. Oh no. All right. Oh.
Back. Hello.
Oh, it switched you two around now. It's
Am I
showing.
back?
Yep, you are back. It's now showing you on the screen as Carlos, and Carlos is you on my end, where I have the
Metamorphosis. We changed what?
Oh, you're still breaking
Oh, my
up a little
internet
bit.
is.
Tá dando uma travadinha, né?
Voltei? Am I
Hey,
back?
oh, you are back.
Yeah, for some reason my computer changes the Wi-Fi to the Wi-Fi network that's all the way over the house. So, but now I am changed back to the one it's in the living room. Sorry. So okay, I probably have too many projects that I can really get done. Should I go on?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I have probably more projects than I realistically can get done in 2023, but I have the zines for Primal Quest, all that stuff, the adventures, the Primal World of Taya, the solo rules. I have more things planned for it, like more issues of the zine. But I have the Petty Gods and Playthings, which be my first other role-playing game that uses Primal Quest system, which is that will play a lot with the medium thing that I wanted to play, that I started exploring the business card. So in this game that's called Petty Gods and Playthings, you as a player will be a petty god. So you'll be a god of something. Like you can create what you're god of. You can be the god of death, or god of mysteries, or even god of smoking, or god of I don't know, anything you can imagine. The god of procrastination or something. And through the game, you can influence the setting. You can like make small interventions, but the theme is gods can't directly intervene into the world, so they influence what happens through their playthings, which are basically mortals, which in other words, in other games would be your character. So you as a player, you are a god in the game, and you have your character that is your plaything, like the mortal you manipulate, like you promise him a destiny, and you put a divine spark on them, and they forever they're still mortals, but because of this divine spark, they're forever set apart for normal society, you know. So they dream about a destiny and stuff that you promise them to further your gains. So you have this thing as a god, and you can intervene in the world, and like small interventions, and you have your character. And as you gain experience, the experience is for the god. So the god has to decide if they want to improve their playthings, or they can intervene in the setting, or modify the setting. So it's kind of a shared world building. So you could like spend experience to build an altar in the studio of the gods. So it's kind of inspired by Lankmar, by Ankh-Morpork, Discord, and Barbarian, Choreograph of Barbarian, Adult Swim cartoons. So when you started really small petty gods, so the most you have is like a really small shrine in the beginning of the Street of the Gods. And as you gain more experience and spend more, you can build more stuff on this path to the gods, until maybe you can have a cathedral at the end of the Street of the Gods near the palace of the Overlord, or something like that, inspired by the same thing in Lankmar. So, but you can also maybe buy a holiday. So you maybe have a holiday, or you can create superstitions, or you can say that this really influenced senator of the city now worships you, and you can create new characters. So the idea also is the game. So you can, so like a player, you have this petty god doing something, and you can intervene. So, oh, I'm the god of bad luck, so as this guard was chasing my character, there is like this banana peel right in front of him, and maybe they will slip up. So you spend points to create a banana peel, and since you can't direct intervene, you can influence. So they have a chance to spill on the banana peel. You influence a word, so it isn't direct, but you can influence the game. So it's kind of the meta game. Fate and stuff that you can create, intervene as a character. You can intervene as this outside thing, but it's still part of the game because it's still diegetic. So it's meta gaming, but it's still diegetic. And there's a lot of other things, like the GM also has a character as the overlord of the city. And I think I'm talking too much about this project, but it plays with the dynamic of the table. So it'll be really fun. And I have a project of a journaling game too about stoicism called In Search of Happiness. So it's similar to Ratchet & Alone games. So you have a card that will determine the events of your life, and you're starting like a diary of what things are happening, and basically more PermaQuest stuff. I have Cosmosaurus is coming out, and I have, I think, 6 more games that have already been written, but they are in different phases of editing, illustration, and things like that.
So if my count is right, there's potentially 9 games coming out in 2023.
Yeah,
at least 9 games.
We have Sharp Sword and Sinister Spells already written too, 2nd edition, but it's gonna be like a big release, like 2 books. So I don't know if it will be ready for next year, but I hope so. But it's gonna be a lot of work, and I want to do so many things, but I have to focus on finishing what I have already started. So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to Petty Gods and Playthings. That sounds
me
like
too.
a lot of fun.
The cover is really cool. One thing that I do, like, to motivate it, to get me to finish the stuff, is that before I write the game, I hire an artist to make a cover for the game. So I'm like, oh shit, I already spent this much on a cover. I have to make this game.
That's a good idea. That's what I should try with the project I want to do. So
yeah, productivity hack: spend money before you have the thing. So it motivates you.
That's great. I might have to try that with.
Então, Carlos, projeto.
Sobre os projetos no forno aí, né? Bom, eu tenho tem muita coisa que eu trabalhei durante esse ano que ainda não foi lançada e eu não posso comentar ainda. Os clientes não deixaram postar ilustrações, mas eu tenho uma série de módulos e aventuras tanto de AD&D primeira edição quanto para fan-made de 5ª edição, né? Aventura aí saindo. Mas projeto assim, meu mesmo, assim, a galera aqui do Ink Potion, a gente está com algumas ideias para 2023. A gente já tem um zine no forno, que está na nossa cabeça. A gente já escolheu o tema, já começou a escrever. A gente tem um zine. Eu vou comentar, vai ser um zine sobre anões. A gente vai fazer uma série de classes de anão, né, no zine, daí todo ilustrado para a gente, claro. A gente tem uma aventura também, que o Yuri escreveu, que a gente quer lançar, e a gente também tem a ideia de pegar algum jogo que tenha licença aberta e seja pequeno, assim, né, exemplo, tipo um Navy, né, e ilustrar, sabe? Pegar um ali, ilustrar, alterar alguma coisinha e lançar. Mas um projeto de cada vez. A gente não é o Diogo, a gente vai num ritmo. O nosso negócio é desenhar, esse negócio de criar fora do desenho a gente vai mais devagar.
Eu sou o contrário, eu crio muita coisa e desenho devagar. Okay, well, he said he has like a lot of stuff that he has been working on, and then we'll release next year, like stuff for other creators that hired him, like commissions and stuff. and really cool things, but he can't really talk about it. He couldn't really post about it then. And but then on Ink Potion Studio have their own projects too. They are planning to release a zine about dwarves with new classes, like equipment and this kind of stuff. Yuri has written an adventure. They plan on releasing too, illustrating and doing maps. And they want to get like one of those games that have an open license. It doesn't really have like an illustrated version or something, and try to do like a illustrated version of it. But they said they want to do one thing at a time and not be like me and work on like 6-7 products at the same time and not get it done. So yeah, and because they said their things is doing a lot of illustrations and eventually, but they take a lot of time to do written things. And they said, "Oh, cool! I'm the opposite. Like I write a lot of stuff, but I'm slow on my illustrations."
Well, that was all I had for this. One last thing I would like to let both of you do, and we'll have Carlos go first, is tell folks where they can find you on social media.
Para você começar e a gente falar, isso foi tudo, né? Mas falar onde é que o pessoal pode te encontrar nas redes sociais ou te encontrar na internet.
Vocês podem me encontrar em qualquer rede social como Castilho, @Castilho. Eu posso até escrever aqui, peraí.
Mas você está em todas as redes sociais?
Olha, tem Twitter, tem o Facebook, o Instagram, o Reddit, o MiuI, aquele MiuI, esses aí.
Ah, tu já tá no 1000 ainda.
Teve um momento que a galera achou que era uma boa usar essa rede, eu fui lá e fiz.
Abandonei.
E eu vou deixar aqui junto o link da Ink Potion, né?
Claro. Foi pro Mastodon ainda não?
Hã?
Foi pro
Não, não
Mastodon
fui.
ainda não?
Não foi, ainda não. Já teve gente perguntando isso aí. É que eu sou
Não,
muito
tá-
avesso, assim. Eu não
também.
sou muito. Eu uso a rede social porque eu trabalho com a rede social, porque senão eu não usava, sabe? Porque não. Tanto que assim, eu uso bastante Facebook ainda, que o pessoal já migrou,
também.
né? Mas
porque
mas o pessoal para trabalho
no
funciona
Brasil é
bem.
muito forte, né, cara? No Brasil é muito forte o Facebook ainda. Okay. Well, said that people can find him on almost any social media, searching for @Castilho. He typed it on the chat there on Zoom. I don't know if you can put it on the notes or anything.
I will.
And basically on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and MiuI. That's the stuff we can find him. And of course, find him at the Ink Potion Studio on Patreon and support them there.
Yeah, I will make sure I post all your links in the description of the video.
Cool. Well, me, you can find for looking for Diogo _ old school, like the bone in your head, not the place you go to learn math. Old school on Twitter, Instagram, Mastodon, Reddit. I am Diogo Art, like this, and on Facebook I am Diogo Nogueira, which is the same name of a famous samba composer, singer, celebrity here in Brazil. So everybody makes this joke that I'm the samba guy. And there was even people that when I went to get the nannies, and they said, "Wow, did you know Diogo Nogueira, besides being a samba artist, writes RPGs?" And they really thought it was the other Diogo and not me. So yeah, and on I have my page old school. Well, let me copy there's my website. oldschoolpublishing.com, and Itch and stuff, you know, Itch and Drive Through RPG or something like that.
Cool. I will make sure likewise with you that all of your links are posted in the description.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Carlos, thank you for coming on. And I greatly appreciate both of you making the time to hang out with me tonight. And Diogo, thank you so much for doing the translating. I enjoyed talking to both of you, and thank you to our viewers tonight. And folks, if you enjoyed this interview, give it a thumbs up and a like and all that good stuff. Yes. And thank you so much. You guys have a great night.
Yeah. If you give just 2 thumbs up, we'll think you're like a AI person or something.
All right.